Welcome to the Geek Homeworld. I am your host, SavageTechman. We talk sci-fi, TV, movies, superheroes, and all from a geek perspective. You can find us on Blogger, Google+, Twitter, Facebook. We're everywhere. Join the Geek Homeworld. Hello everyone, this is SavageTechman, aka Ed, and welcome to a wonderful, fantastic, and this time I can back that up, fantastic episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast. And I'm joined here with our resident Harry Potter fan, Kimberle.
Hi.
Welcome. And to get this out the way, there will be spoiler alerts. This whole part of the episode is spoiler alerts. And we're talking Harry Potter here. We're talking about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. My wife thinks that's looking at me. I don't know. So we'll get you laughing there. Anyhow, so Kimberle, you've read the books and you've seen all the Harry Potter movies. So that makes you the guru to go to on Harry Potter. So how was the movie Fantastic Beasts?
The title is appropriate. It was fantastic. Being a Harry Potter fan, you weren't sure if this prequel would work or not, but it really does. She did an excellent job of writing this, and I look forward to more.
Okay. How do you think it fit in with the other Harry Potter films in the series?
Well, while this one doesn't have a book, the second book, they go to a magical creatures class, and Hagrid teaches that, and he has a book of monsters. It kind of references that because his whole life, the main character of Fantastic Beasts, his whole life is about taking care of these magical creatures and wanting to teach wizards how to treat them so that they're not killed or don't become extinct. So it fits in very well.
Cool. I didn't get into Harry Potter until the fourth movie, which was Prisoner of Azkaban.
Actually, it's Goblets of Fire.
They changed it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that was the fifth one. Anyway, well, Prisoner of Azkaban was me. That's when I jumped on board the Hogwarts Express. And so I enjoyed the Harry Potter films. I didn't read them because there was the books because there were too many words, not enough pictures, and that's why I've got you here. Anyway, talking about Fantastic Beasts, the universe of it, it takes place in an earlier time on a completely different continent as Harry Potter. Do you feel that they made differences in it to differentiate between the Harry Potter franchise and this new franchise? You know, tying it together but yet making it different enough.
Well, from the very beginning of Fantastic Beasts, the opening scenes show him coming into the country, coming into the United States. So you see that it's an earlier time frame because he's traveling by ship. He's not flying. He's obviously not on a train. And, I mean, the costumes are period, so it goes really well with the 1920s, which is, I think, when it's set. I know it's 70 years before Harry Potter starts. Okay. And then, of course, they do some explaining even to him as to how they reference muggles in the U.S. It's mages. So when they say mages, they're like, what are you talking about?
Is this a bunch of Madonnas running around?
No, it means non-magical.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. So you read all the books. You co-wrote them all, right?
I did not.
No, okay. Otherwise, we'd be billionaires. You saw all the movies, and this one doesn't have a book. Do you think that it worked as well without a book, or do you think... Obviously, the book probably would have been better. Books are always better.
Actually, I think in this case, a book would have been hard to do because you couldn't imagine some of the creatures that they created in the film. So as far as being without a book, I think this movie works very well. With the Harry Potter series, I really enjoyed the first two movies. I felt they followed the books very well. And then they started to get further and further away, where in the last, well, the seventh and the sixth movie, which were the sixth and seventh books, start to get confused. They mix things up, and then of course they made an eighth movie out of the seventh book. So yeah,
the Deathly Hallows Part 1 was a lot of walking and camping for me when I watched the film. That's what I kind of narrowed it down to.
It is in the book as well, but they don't portray it as well as it's written.
And I will have to say I was a little bit upset at the actual final battle between Harry and Voldemort. I wasn't supposed to say his name. Oh. But it was like, that's it. I mean,
and it's written much better than they could really do it in the film.
But I did really love at the end of Deathly Hallows how they kind of went forward in the future with Harry and Hermione and little
Ron.
Harry or little Hermione. I can't remember, boy, girl, Muggle, whatever it was. a Madge,
Non-Madge.
non-Madge. I don't know. But that was nice for them to kind of flash forward in the future. Do you think they'll do sequels to Harry Potter? Do you think J.K. Rowling after Fantastic Beast? Or
I actually think they'll do more prequels. I don't think they'll do
prequels?
sequels to Harry Potter. I do think they'll do more with Fantastic Beasts. As a matter of fact, I think I saw an interview with Eddie Redmayne saying something to the effect that he's expecting to do 2 or 3 more films.
Okay. So there'll be no Jar Jar Binks in that?
No.
Good.
No Jar Jar. They do reference the Deathly Hallows. They actually show that symbol in Fantastic Beasts.
Okay.
But it's very quick, so if you're not paying attention, you won't see it.
You have to be a hardcore fan, and it's kind of a wink to those hardcore fans of the Harry Potter books, probably, and to say,
Well, one character
just throwing that
gives
in
the
there.
symbol to another character, and if you're not paying attention, you won't realize that's what it is.
So do you think at the end of Fantastic Beasts it might be like the Lord of the Rings movies, we'll probably have 2 more movies at least, and then you think at one point it's going to fill in that gap of about 70 years and then...
I don't think they'll go all the way up to Harry Potter because then you would see too much of how Harry became Harry. You would end up having to see his parents and when they went to school, and that's getting too far into the actual Harry Potter story.
Then actually the Fantastic Beasts is a standalone.
Right.
But still under the umbrella of that universe.
Right.
I would love to see, Harry's parents, a prequel to Harry Potter. That would be nice. Even if it were just one movie.
Well, they do reference it a little bit in some of the movies. They do
Right.
flashbacks, and it's more so in the books. Then you get more of the flashback and more of his wanting to know more about his parents.
So I guess what I should get from this is that I need to read more.
Probably.
I wish I could get a computer to do that for me.
Oh, my
Just give me
goodness.
the Harry Potter Cliff Notes. No.
Books on tape.
So let's say you're a complete muggle, as I am, and you haven't... Well, I've actually seen the Harry Potter movies, but for those who are totally uninitiated to the whole Harry Potter universe, Fantastic Beasts universe, why should they see it?
They shouldn't.
Really?
It's a great movie, but if you didn't like Harry Potter movies, if you didn't like the books, you're not going to like this movie.
Okay.
It's just that simple.
Let me put this in reference. The question I'm going to ask you is how it stacks up against the Harry Potter movies, and that's probably, day and night almost. But for me, when I saw the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is one of the best trilogies ever, still to this day, still holds up, and then I saw, the Hobbit movies, which was a little book that they made into 3 movies that they really stretched it out and all, and they were still good, but even the best of those, the Battle of the Five Armies, the 3rd movie, and that was still not as good as any of the Lord of the Rings movies. Do you think Fantastic Beasts is going to have to live up to that Harry Potter mantle? Because, it built on each movie.
I actually think this would be a better reference for Star Trek and how they rebooted Star Trek. Because even though you don't have the same characters, it's kind of a reboot of the magical world that you're used to that J.K. Rowling created with Harry Potter. So I think that's a better reference than Lord of the Rings.
So you think it's a better entry point if you're just becoming a Harry Potter fan, Fantastic Beasts, than Harry Potter per se?
No, I don't think it's a better entry point because there will be some references that you won't necessarily get.
Okay.
And without there being a book to read first, that could make it difficult. But I do think that it's better to look at the Star Trek before the new ones came out with J.J. Abrams directing. It's more there's this great series of films. And, oh, wait, let's go back here a little in history and re-kick it.
Yeah, well, a little bit different because with the Star Trek franchise that Abrams did, his 3 movies, he did try to lay the groundwork. He took the same characters essentially, and he basically was doing it alternate time history, but still kind of keeping it within the universe, and also updating it. So he really had about 2 or 3 different things he was trying to do, and I think he did a successful job, but I wonder how Fantastic Beast would be versus that. I don't know.
I'm just saying it's more similar to that than with the Lord of the Rings.
What was your favorite part of Fantastic Beast and where to find them?
I'm not sure. I mean, I was thrilled with a lot of the animals that you couldn't really have imagined in your head had they been written. And there was one little monster that you see kind of at the beginning and then again later on that just collects gold. And the amount that they could pull out of that animal was hilarious. They'd turn him upside down and shake him, and all these coins and gold and all of this stuff would just come falling out of him. So he was really cool. And then the bird, which I think was maybe based on an eagle.
Okay.
He was awesome. You see most of him at the end. But so I think the creatures themselves, which were obviously not real.
There was no great-great-great-great-grandfather of Dobby in there?
No. There was a house elf. And there was a great line by the Muggle about house elves.
Okay.
But I won't give you that one, even though it's a spoiler alert episode. It was hilarious.
Well, actually, it's spoiler
okay.
all over the place.
Well,
yeah, you can spoil it.
He's at the bar, and the house elf says, "What? Never seen a house elf?" He says, "No, my uncle's a house elf."
Oh, awesome.
That is hilarious.
Is he an elf on the shelf?
No. So, but I mean, the actors and actresses, they did a really good job. And of course, being set in the 20s, they had great costumes going.
Cool. Did you think it represented that time period well?
If you take into account that you're trying to be mostly in a magical environment, yes.
Okay.
Because the bar was kind of set like a speakeasy, but a magical speakeasy.
A magical speakeasy. That can go a lot of ways.
Like it had a magical entrance and stuff like that.
So I'm thinking about that whole universe. Were the Muggles aware of...
No, and they made it very clear that in the United States, you don't associate with non-magicals. So if you're a witch or a wizard, you're not allowed to marry non-mages. You're not supposed to associate with them or any of that. Yeah. So the difference is they're very clear about pointing out what's difference between the United States and England in the wizarding community.
Well, I thank you today, Kimberle, for joining us here on the Geek Homeworld podcast to bring your expertise from the Harry Potter universe into this episode. It's been sorely needed, so it's nice to have a resident go-to person now I can go to and say, hey,
I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble. And I expect to have you back here on the podcast. And thank you very much for your insights and your in-depth knowledge of something that you definitely enjoy.
You're
Harry
welcome.
Potter. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Geek Homeworld podcast with your host, SavageTechman. You can find us on Libsyn, Google+, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, listen to us on iTunes, see us on YouTube, be part of our Mixler chats. Thank you. See you again on the Geek Homeworld podcast.